Almost every single day, I talk to a man like you who has been shaken by his divorce, who is feeling a little bit beaten, a little bit broken down, who's full of self-doubt and uncertainty and doesn't know what to do with it. If you are in this situation, if your divorce has stripped your confidence and left you feeling broken, this video is for you. I'm Rachael Sloan. I help men survive divorce, regain their confidence, rebuild their sense of self, and move on confidently and strongly. And in this video, I am going to give you 3 tools to overcome that feeling of being broken down and start to get a little bit of that confidence back already today. There's this ridiculous myth out there, this story in our society that somehow men come out of divorce better than women, that they bounce back, that they're tougher, that they're stronger, that it doesn't affect them as much. That's not true. I'm here to tell you, if anything, men struggle more going through divorce because it's more common that the woman initiates it, and it's more common that she will be seen favorably by everyone in the process of that divorce, by the judge, by the lawyers, by your mutual friends, perhaps even by your families and by your children. All too often, men are villainized in the divorce process by their exes and by everyone else around them. And when enough people tell you bad things about yourself, it is really hard not to take that on and make it personal and start to doubt yourself. It creates a lot of fear and anxiety and regret. It can be really helpful to understand what that process looks like and how you start to internalize those things, but that's not what this video is about. If you want that full background and all of that story, check this video out here. In today's video, I am going to focus on these 3 tools that you can use right now to start feeling better. The first tool I like to call 90 seconds of any emotion. And guys, I know you don't want to feel these emotions. I know that they are strange and unfamiliar and painful and intense. It's not your fault if you're not comfortable feeling intense emotions. You were never taught to feel intense emotions. In fact, you were probably very strongly conditioned from childhood not to show strong or intense emotion. That's another big myth in our society, that men are supposed to be strong, and that being strong means not showing grief or fear or sadness or often even anger. But right now, going through this divorce, I bet you have all of those things in spades. So let's deal with them. One of the main reasons that my clients tell me that they don't want to go in and feel those intense emotions is because they're afraid that they're going to take over and that once it starts, they won't be able to stop. That's why I like to do this 90 seconds of emotion. The idea is that you're going to let yourself feel whatever you're feeling for 90 seconds. I encourage you to set a timer for this, and you're going to feel it in a very specific way. You're going to do 2 things, and there is one critically important thing you are not going to do. And if you follow these rules and set your timer, you do not have to worry about that emotion taking over and running away with you. In fact, actually the opposite. It's when you try to ignore your anger, it's when you try to stifle your grief and your anxiety that those emotions build and build and build and ultimately take over. Feeling them, processing them in a constructive way, and moving through them is the only way to really release those emotions and get past them. When we push them away, they get worse. So 90 seconds of any emotion. First, I want you to name the emotion. This might be harder than it sounds. Are you feeling anxiety or is it fear? Are you feeling sad or is that anger? When you have not spent a lot of time with your emotions, identifying them can be a challenge. So take a moment. If you get stuck with that, just ask yourself, if this feeling had a name, what would it be? Then I want you to look down into your body. If your eyes go up, you're not doing this exercise right. Look down into your body and notice, what do I feel in my stomach, in my chest, in my head, my throat, my arms, my legs? What do I feel? Emotions are physical. They happen in your physical body, which means you can't think your way through or out of an emotion. You have to feel it. That is how you process it. So we are going to feel it in our bodies by noticing and listing the physical sensations of that emotion to yourself. My face is flushed and red. My muscles are tense. My stomach is in a knot. This is how anger feels in my body. My eyes are tearing up. My throat is tight. My heart feels heavy and is pounding. This is how grief feels in my body. This is how sadness feels in my body. That's it. When you do this exercise, you only do those two things: name the emotion and notice, perhaps listing the physical sensations of that emotion to yourself for 90 seconds. What you are not going to do, the one thing you are not going to do, is justify this emotion in your mind. You are not going to think about it. Your eyes are not going to go up into your brain. You're not going to spin thinking the thoughts, why I'm so sad, why I'm so angry, and building it up in your mind. You know what I'm talking about, right? You feel angry and your brain starts going, oh my gosh, I can't believe her, that bitch, she shouldn't have done that. And now she's trying to take my kids and da 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 da, right? You're angry at your ex. And it's really easy for your mind to start spinning and start growing and justifying that feeling of anger. We're not doing that. Anytime your brain wants to go and spiral in this exercise, you need to stop, take a deep breath, look down into your body, notice the physical sensations. That's it. We're not growing this emotion. We're not discussing this emotion. We're not thinking about this emotion. We are feeling it for 90 seconds in your physical body where it exists. Do this exercise at least twice a day for at least 90 seconds. I would recommend doing it when you wake up and doing it when you go to bed at night, and maybe doing it during the day when something intense comes up that you're struggling with. The second exercise I want you to do when you're feeling broken down, when your confidence is shaken by divorce, or when that self-doubt is coming up, is to ask yourself this question: how has this feeling helped me survive this? So how has this anger helped me survive this divorce? How has this depression helped me survive this marriage? How has this anxiety helped me survive this loss? You know now what the emotion is, right? You have the emotions from the 90-second exercise to draw on. Usually those painful emotions or those taboo emotions, right? Painful emotions like grief and loneliness and loss and despair, and taboo emotions like depression or anger or rage, we tend to dismiss all of those. We don't want to feel them because they're too painful, or we're ashamed or embarrassed to admit that we have these powerful emotions. I want you to turn that on its head, because I know something. I know this from myself and my own work, and I know this from every client I have ever worked with. Every emotion you have is perfectly reasonable, perfectly rational, and it exists for a reason. Those emotions are adaptive. They are necessary for your survival at some point when you had no other way of dealing with a situation. They are perfectly normal responses to an abnormal or impossible or incredibly difficult situation. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself on your journey back to confidence is establish a trusting relationship with yourself. You can't do that when you think that your emotions are evil and bad and wrong. So I want you to start questioning, this emotion is here for a reason. This emotion is good. What is that reason? How has this emotion helped me survive? The third exercise you're going to do when you're feeling broken down by your divorce is very, very similar to the second. It's also, how did this help me survive? But we're going to apply that question now to a behavior and not to a feeling. So I want you to think of something you've done that you're ashamed of or wish you hadn't done. One of my favorite things to pick here is something that your ex-wife tells you a lot. Like, what does she complain about you that has made all of this self-doubt and questioning yourself start to come up? Maybe she says you're too controlling. Maybe you're emotionally cold. Maybe you shut down and don't talk to her. Maybe you get angry and yell. Whatever it is that you do that she doesn't like, put that into this question. How has being controlling helped me survive this? How has shutting down helped me survive this? How has getting angry and yelling helped me survive this? And survive what? Survive this divorce, survive this marriage, survive the experience of expected intimacy with your partner, survive a sense of loss or a fear of abandonment. Doing this exercise takes some serious honesty with yourself. But if you are honest with yourself and are willing to look, I think you'll hear answers like a lot of my clients have come up with. Oh, yeah, being controlling was protecting me from my terrible anxiety and fear of losing my partner. Getting angry, losing my temper, yelling, protected me from being vulnerable and showing my weakness. Being depressed and not caring protected me from pain and suffering. Just like every emotion is there to serve you in some way, every behavior, no matter how strange or bad or maladaptive it seems, stems from some primal need, some fear of being hurt, some fear for your safety, or some desire to feel loved and connected. That doesn't mean that those behaviors are necessarily good. Right? So when you say, how did getting angry and yelling help me survive in this marriage? That doesn't mean it was good to get angry and yell. It doesn't mean that you're going to go forward into future relationships and get angry and yell, and that you're going to continue to use this defense mechanism as a survival technique. Right? We're not condoning that behavior. We aren't pardoning any damage that might have been done by that behavior. All we're doing is saying it makes sense. Right? It makes sense that I acted that way. Of course, I feel resentful. Of course, I was angry and yelled. Of course, I pulled away and didn't want to talk about our emotions, right? Because that would have opened me up to hurt and pain, because that would have made me seem like less of a man and she might have left me, because I was taught that it's not okay to talk about those things. We're not looking at a history of controlling behavior in a relationship and saying, oh yeah, that's how you should be, right? We're not condoning it. We're not pardoning it. We're just saying, oh, yeah, of course you were controlling. That makes perfect sense. You were so scared of her leaving, of being rejected, of her finding somebody else and not being with you. You were so afraid of being left alone. Of course, you tried to control her behavior and your situation so that you didn't have to feel that incredibly painful anxiety and fear. That makes perfect sense. I know there are things about yourself you'd like to change. Right? There are patterns of behaviors, there's ways of showing up in relationships, there's intense and painful emotions you wish you didn't have to feel. There are things about yourself you want to change. I know there are. We all have things about ourselves that we want to change. But let me tell you something critically important. You cannot change something you hate about yourself. You cannot change a behavior you are fighting and rejecting, and you can certainly not change an emotion that you are stifling or pushing away. The only way to change, the only way to move forward is to go through. We have to go through our emotions, and we have to look at our past and understand how that makes sense, how we were doing the best we could with what we knew and how we felt in that moment, based on a combination of our past experiences, social conditioning, and our genetic code. Right? There is biology, there is cultural conditioning, and there is personal experience all at play in everything you feel and every way you act. And if we can explore all of that, it all makes perfect sense. When you can start to see that, it takes a layer of self-loathing away. It takes a layer of self-doubt away, and it gives you the opportunity to start building a relationship with yourself. Right? That's what this work is about. That is how you come back from being broken down in this divorce. That is how you rebuild your sense of who you are. That is how you get your confidence back. It's by building a relationship with yourself, by learning to trust yourself and love yourself and count on yourself. And you can't do that when you're looking at your own experiences, when you're looking at your own feelings and your own actions and going, oh my God, that's horrible. I shouldn't feel that way. Oh my God, I never should have done that. That makes no sense. What was I thinking? Why would I do that? Why would I act that I did everything wrong? I shouldn't feel this way. This isn't right. As long as you look at yourself and you tell yourself those things, you are not going to have a very good relationship with yourself. And if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you are going to struggle in your relationships with everyone else, whether that's a new partner or your kids or your ex-wife. If looking inward is scary, if you're not sure how to start, or you don't know how to answer these questions, book a free strategy session with me. You can tell me about what you're going through in your personal experience. And if I think it's something I can help with and we're a good fit, I'll explain how I can help and how that works and answer any questions you might have. And as always, if this video is helpful, please click the like button and turn on the subscription with notifications so that you don't miss any videos. I've got new videos coming out every Tuesday and Saturday to help you navigate divorce, come out the other side healthier, happier, and more emotionally resilient than you were before.